I have to admit, I do enjoy these sorts of community events. I don't think we do enough of these sorts of things in the UK, and particularly in the south of England. People can be quite insular. That's INSULAR. That means they keep themselves to themselves. But Halloween gets people joining in and talking to one another. And where I live, sometimes people go to a lot of trouble decorating the outside of their houses and making it fun and scary for the children who come to trick or treat. There are lots of people in the UK who don't quite like Halloween that much. They see it as very commercialised. That means it's used by businesses to sell us things, which is also true. And people also see it as very American influenced. And that's true. When I was a child, we didn't carve pumpkins, though people did go trick-or-treating, perhaps. Because my family and upbringing were largely Christian, there was more focus on 1st of November, All Souls Day instead. I'm not Christian now, but that was how I was brought up. I do quite like Halloween. I've got a lot of enjoyment over the years over how much my children have loved it. And the eldest, even now, who is certainly an adult, still carves a pumpkin every Halloween. So Halloween is seen as an American import to some degree, but a tradition amongst British people for Halloween is the telling of ghost stories. A ghost, Ghost, is meant to be what's left over when someone dies. A representation, if you like, of someone who has died, usually a long time ago. Ghosts usually appear in old houses. That's where people claim to have seen them or have heard them, perhaps. So more often than someone seeing a ghost, they hear strange noises, bumps in the night that they can't explain. Or things in their house move around without explanation. And the human emotion that we associate with all of this? Fear, of course, F-E-A-R. The word we often use to describe this sort of situation, we call it spooky, S-P-O-O-K-Y. Or we might even use the verb to spook or to be spooked if you're frightened. And the adjective that we use to describe buildings where this happens, we say they are haunted, H-A-U-N-T-E-D. As I say, it's usually old houses or even pubs in the UK are popular haunted places for ghosts. And of course, there's a whole tradition of entertainment around this. As I say, people love ghost stories and being scared. And some people really do believe in the possibility of ghosts. So are you fascinated by ghosts and the supernatural? I certainly am. In my whole life, I've never seen anything or heard anything which might make me think of ghosts. But I do know some very rational and sensible people who have seen things that they can't explain. That includes members of my own family and a friend I can think of too. They say, I don't believe in ghosts, but I know what I saw and I can't explain it. So I do find this fascinating. And one thing I have certainly experienced, certain houses that I've known, visited, stayed in, make me feel uncomfortable. They make me feel like there's something there or I'm being watched. There's a very old and large house that my family have stayed in a number of times in France near my sister. This house is beautiful, but it is certainly spooky. All three of my children agree with me. They like it, but it's very spooky. For example, in this particular house in France, I would not sit downstairs on my own late at night reading. I would do that perfectly happily in my house at home, but not there in that house. I can't explain it, but I know what I feel. And there are certain rooms in that very large old French house that I don't particularly like, don't feel comfortable in. And there are others which feel fine. And there are certain houses that I've known from my childhood where I've had similar experiences. Often it's just one part of a house or just one room that has an uncomfortable feeling. Spooky, as though something bad has happened there, perhaps.